I'm also hyper freaking caffeinated. I don't know if
Oh,
you
are
can
you?
tell. Yes. So I'm a little bit bouncy. So I apologize for if I'm a little bit like too intense. So
Nah, bro.
I don't
Makes
know.
the conversation engaging.
Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Passion Podcast. And we are here with another very exciting guest from the fitness space. And I'm just going to stop talking right now, and we're going to ask Ethan Harold here who he is and what brought him to the wonderful world of social media.
Okay. Well, first off, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. So what got me on social media initially was obviously just being a young guy and growing up in the age where everyone had a cell phone, everyone had Instagram, and YouTube was very accessible. And that's kind of what I grew up on. I don't really know life without it. And as time went on, and I got out of high school and stuff, and I was figuring out what I wanted, I became really invested in the idea of self improvement and fitness, and that's when I started my channel. So I was never very involved in YouTube on a personal level. I've always wanted to make videos. I've always had fun with it. Like since I was 8 or 9 years old, I would take my mom's old iPad and I would record these crappy videos and stuff. And I would take this old VHS recording, these old camcorders and stuff, little tapes with the reels. I forgot the name of it, but I used to make videos on that. And that's like I've always had a passion for making content and kind of putting a story together. And social media was a cool way to share that, but I never really used it as a way to be a creator versus just interacting. But eventually, it evolved into me wanting to become someone who makes content and hopefully a living off of it.
Yeah, dude, that's actually I did not know that you had like a background with creating content prior to the YouTube stuff. I mean, you can kind of assume in a lot of cases that a YouTuber might have that kind of background experience, but that's very similar to me. Like my brothers and I, we grew up making movies together and everything. Kind of led me to this point, at least to some extent. So, really great, dude.
Yeah.
So what's your primary goal with what you're putting out though? So like you like making the content, and it's obviously a focus on both self improvement stuff and fitness stuff, and how those kind of merge as well.
hmm
But like, what's your primary goal then with those sort of subjects? Like, what do you want to really bring to this, to the space, to the industry, whatever?
Okay, so I will say that when I started my channel, I was in a pretty crappy point in my life. This was just before the pandemic. I was working 90 plus hours a week, two jobs, overtime, all this stuff. And I was focusing so hard on just securing my bag and working to the point where I started to villainize the idea of free time and fun. So I started pushing friends away. I started not valuing my health, and I was just always worried about working and setting up my future. And it came at the expense of a lot of important parts of my life that I didn't truly appreciate at the time. So when everything slowed down and the world screeched to a halt when the pandemic started, I was forced to take a long look at myself, and I realized I was very unhappy with the reflection, and I felt now is a good time to start investing all this free time and this nothing to do into trying to get better. Like getting a little bit of shape, maybe read some books. I don't know, just what can I do while I'm home with no other option? And that got me onto fitness content. That got me into self-improvement content. When I first made my channel, I was watching a lot of guys. Their names were Better Ideas, Joey Schweitzer, Matt Diavella, Nathaniel Drew, and then eventually my sister put me onto fitness guys like Greg Doucette, and I found Remington James, and I found a few other guys. So I started losing weight. I started reading books. I started waking up really early for no reason. I had nothing to wake up for, but the idea of getting up early just felt good, right? It felt like this early propulsion. I get up early. I'm ahead of everyone else. It doesn't really work or doesn't really add anything. It just psychologically feels like a boost. So I was suddenly found this in like this new passion and this new, I guess, I don't know. I was very happy for the first time in a long time, and I just wanted to share it. And as somebody who's always enjoyed making little flicks and stuff with my friends when I was younger, I figured, you know what, now's a good time for me to get on YouTube and maybe share a little bit of what I'm learning. Maybe I can help somebody out. Maybe I can just, it'll be fun for me. And I remember when I posted my first video, I knew immediately it's what I wanted. I got like 4 views, 2 subscribers. One was me, one was my sister. And yeah, I mean, it was just like the idea that I made something. I hit record, the video's cringe, it's horrible, but I did it. And the fact that it was up there, I remember it was like, you know what, I can turn this into something. And what stopped me from YouTube for a long time is I wanted to do it since I was like entered high school. It was just always a cool idea, but I was always worried what people might think about it. I was very susceptible to judgment. And I was like, oh, you want to be a YouTuber? That's really what you're doing? You should be doing this. And I grew up in a traditional house. A lot of people around me went the traditional route. So for me, it's like, I don't want to veer off. What are people going to say? So when I finally got out of high school and this, surrounded by everybody who's going one way, it gave me the confidence to go another.
Right, dude. That's see that I feel like that's gonna be also another thing that's very common with people in our shoes, and it's something that I want to just relate to you is like, yeah, I love the idea of we're sharers. You know, we love to share, we love to collaborate, we love to take in information and then see if we can help somebody out with that information. And it's like, from what I've seen of your content, that's very much what you are doing, and it's great that you get so much enjoyment out of it. So, what would you say then are like the biggest struggles that come along with the content creation? Which I mean, I have plenty to say on that, but it's kind of like the social media beast and just playing the algorithm, what have you. But like, what are some of your biggest struggles you would say?
One of which that I'm doing a pretty good job at overcoming right now, but you said it yourself, the algorithm, is when I first signed up for YouTube, when I first started making videos, I didn't know anything about SEO. I didn't know anything about trying all these growth strategies. It was more so just I wanted to make videos. I wanted to talk about stuff I cared about. And this is kind of how I wound up in fitness. Because I was never, a lot of people don't know this, I was never really supposed to be a fitness channel. It's not why I started. It was supposed to be overall self-improvement. Like, I got into fitness, so here's, I've told people about this before. I have a second channel, and I kind of touched on it. But my first few videos were like, how to stop procrastinating, 10 things you should stop doing when you turn 18, the effects of social media. I was trying to be a self-improvement guy because that's what I was engulfed in. And then I posted a video discussing my weight loss because I was also losing weight at the time. To me, it all clumped together. Oh, I'm losing weight. It all seemed like progress, so it felt like a video I should make. And that video, by leaps and bounds, outperformed my other ones. So I was like, you know what? People like this fitness stuff. I'm going to try to invest myself more in that. And that took me into making recipes. That took me into, reviewing stuff, getting more into Remington James and Greg Doucette and the anabolic diet and stuff. And that's how I got really lean and all that stuff. I was never so much a teacher. I didn't know a lot about it. I've always lifted weights. I've always been physically active, but I didn't know anything about dieting. Yeah, my channel took a pivot because I noticed the growth aspect. So to come back to your question, what the biggest struggle would be is chasing the algorithm, chasing what grows, chasing what you think is going to sell versus what you want to do. That's why I took such a hard pivot in terms of my content right now. And people have been asking me like suddenly you're talking about all this stuff when a few months ago you were reviewing training plans and doing recipes. Like, what the hell happened? And I didn't even make an announcement. I just kind of started doing it because it got to a point where I was burning out. I was making content that I didn't feel was true to me. It didn't feel original, didn't feel authentic. I felt like I was making the same freaking full day of eating video and spending $80 trying to make a recipe that, let's be honest, didn't really do well. And it was like, I'm spending days in this kitchen. I don't want to make this food. Nothing against it. There's a lot of great channels that do well at it. And it wasn't for me. But I spent so much time trying to make what worked versus what I cared about. And if you're going to be on YouTube and have the longevity, you need to be true to yourself. And for a long time, I didn't live up to that. And I think that's the biggest struggle.
Oh, absolutely. That's. I mean, there's a lot of struggles. Again, it's not really just a one thing, but that's going to be one of the larger ones. Is you get into this, and like you kind of mentioned, when you start off, you're kind of nervous putting yourself out there. So if you're going to be putting yourself out there in this way, you want it to be with stuff that you're truly passionate about and truly enjoy making. But then you have the other side of things where if you're on social media, which is nice to be given the opportunity to make content and get it out there to people, but then you have to also play the algorithm game, and that's going to kind of hurt your passion for this stuff. And I've very much dealt with that as well. But I love that now you're kind of going back and leaning into more of the stuff that you really want to make. I think that's going to be the better option no matter what. Like, you can, I hate going with the algorithm trends. Like, every once in a while there'll be something that I'm like, that's actually worth talking about. As far as I'm concerned, that's something that is sort of on brand with what I want to do with my channel. So I don't really, it's fine to talk on it.
Yeah.
But there's other things where it's okay, this is a very hot button issue right now, but I don't want to put forth energy. My time's so valuable. I don't want to put forth energy for this thing. Probably will do better than some of my other content because it's what the algorithm wants, but it's not going to be necessarily good for my longevity as a content creator. So it sounds very much like that's your experience, and then you made that pivot back to more of the self-improvement stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
about what you really wanted to do and what you wanted to get out there with your content.
Yeah, you made a good point when you talked about like just trying to hop onto trends and finding the hot button issues. I've had a lot of people reach out to me saying, "When are you going to review Anna Butter? When are you going to talk about the Kiko bar?" And I mean, I don't want to like that. I don't want to spend the money on it. I don't want to buy a product that's expensive to try it once and then probably not touch it again. And that's what I felt like I was doing for a long time, is trying to. I talk to Iron Musket a lot. Josh is one of my closest friends, and we have a lot of brainstorming sessions. You know, like we're always saying like, "Oh, what's a good growth tactic? What direction should we go in?" And I remember like you were saying, like with the struggle of being authentic and trying to stay true to yourself. The way I looked at it was this, because he's Will Tennyson's editor, and Will shares the same exact anguish that a small creator like our size and smaller and even bigger share. Like it's a universal feeling when you try to grow yourself, and that's your main intent is, garner views, gain status, establish yourself. And I found that there's two things that bring you happiness on YouTube. One is how proud are you of what it is you're making? The amount of time you spent making this video, can you show it to people and be like, look how much work I put into this. I'm very happy with this. It's conveying the message I care about. And it's just, how much do you love what you're spending all your time doing? And the second thing that brings you happiness is what's the ROI? How much have you grown? Did you get any subs? Did you get any views? How much money did you make on this video? And so many people spend almost all their energy chasing this part, and it comes at the expense of their creativeness, their creativity, their authenticity. I'm going to touch on what's trendy. Like, for example, the whole main gaining thing. Everyone wanted to make a main gaining video. Everyone wanted to talk about Revival Fitness, Jeffrey Schofield, Greg. And, I wonder how many... everyone cares to some extent, but I wonder how many people wanted to make videos because they saw it as growth opportunity versus something that they genuinely wanted to make, and that's the case, and there's nothing wrong with it. At the end of the day, you're going to play the game however you want. I'm not going to tell people how to live their lives or how to run their business, but I found myself going after trends, and it came at the expense of what it is I really wanted to share, and that led to a lot of burnout. That led to a lot of just me beating myself up whenever a video didn't perform a 1 out of 10. When you look at the YouTube analytics and you see the fireworks when a video does great, but then you see the gray arrows when it's a 10 out of 10, and you're like, damn, I spent days making this video. I canceled plans. I missed family dinners. I did all this stuff because I wanted to make this video, and I was so proud of it. And when you're not talking about what you care about, all you bank on is the video doing well. So when it doesn't, you're just sitting there like I'm not gonna lie, I fell into these depressive ruts, not diagnosed, but like more so just I can't pull myself out of it. It's like, what do I do? What do I do from here? Like, where do I go? And I remember just having these exchanges with other creators, and once I found out how universally felt it was, it made me think about it a lot. And it's really what made me want to make a pivot towards self-improvement, is just, I got to stop worrying about this video's performance and just make what I care about. Like, that's why you see me talking about things that aren't even fitness related anymore, is because I think it goes way beyond that.
Right. I'm trying to do the same thing that you are, with like really leaning into like just specifically what I want to talk about. And like you'd mentioned before we started recording that you really enjoyed my video on the history of fitness, which that's the kind of content that I really want to make. And it's funny because I spent months on that video.
It looks like it. It looks like it.
And I make a video on the main gaining thing with Greg Doucette and Revival Fitness, and that outperforms it like that. Like,
that's such a struggle. It's such a struggle.
That video has in total, like within the first day, and it's like I spent like a significant fraction of the time on that video versus the other one. It's like. So that's where the discouragement comes from, is like, that's why I want to continue to make like those main gaining type videos, the controversial ones, because of like, I mean, you get it,
Yeah, absolutely. Goes. I mean, it sucks because I don't know if this is by design. I don't know if this is a part of YouTube's algorithm, because it seems like every day people are trying to decipher it, but it's almost ingrained in the process to compromise your authenticity and your integrity in pursuit of what you think is going to grow you. And that's not healthy for a creator, because you're like, how much of yourself can you suppress before you burn out? Why do you think YouTubers are always posting videos saying, I need to take a break, and the thumbnail looks like this or something, and they don't see him for half a year? It's because they're probably trying to shill something that isn't I mean, they probably care a little bit about it, but it's not what they are. It's not what they have to offer. It's not them. It's what's exciting to talk about. And some people can do it, some people can't. I'm somebody that came to realize I just can't.
Yeah, dude, it's such a conundrum because again, going back to it, it's like it's very nice to have these outlets to create content and get stuff out to the people and do things that we really want to in regards to sharing whatever our message is. But then it's also as a part of that, it's like you have to make that consideration. You have to make that consideration of like what's the actual social media outlets, what are they going to want to push out and actually show to people? And it's like, I'm glad that you're giving me the avenue to put the stuff out, but then you're kind of trying to steer me in this way. Almost like you're trying to be your own boss, but then you also have another kind of boss who's telling you how to do your thing.
Exactly.
And
exactly. It's the best way to put it.
Yeah. I don't know about if there's any other struggles you want to mention. One that I thought might be worth bringing up is sort of like the damage that we as creators could be doing to the people who are taking in our stuff. And like I remember a video of yours within the time doesn't really make sense to me anymore, so I can't remember exactly how long ago it was. You had talked about how you want us to lean less into lean or like lean bodies or like excessively lean bodies being this healthy thing, which obviously that's an admirable thing that a lot of people are kind of like wanting for the industry, but it's something that you really leaned into in one of your videos.
Yeah.
And that makes me think like, have I contributed to people's body dysmorphia? I don't want to do that.
I feel like I have.
Yeah,
I feel like I have.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to do that, but it's also like that very much goes with the fitness brand, which you and I are associated with. Again, you're trying to break more into the self-improvement side of things, but still, I feel like there's certain things that could ultimately harm some of the people who take in our content, which that's something that I battle with from time to time.
Absolutely. No, 100%. And that's something that I feel like I faced a lot leading up to that video is I started experiencing a lot of struggles, regarding my eating habits and my body image and stuff. But I kind of suppressed it because to me, that's what the industry wanted me to push. It's like, we're going to market whoever looks the best, who's got the most veins, the most cuts. You look more impressive, so people are going to listen to you. So I felt like I needed to put my health mentally and physically on the back burner in pursuit of what I thought would grow my channel faster. So, and I always want, because I remember when I posted that video, I had so many people DM me and write me paragraphs saying, dude, thank you for making that. I cannot even like that summarized my last year and a half. That I feel everything you said. I feel like I'm finally breaking out of the need to count all my calories and stay sub 10% body fat. And here's the thing, a lot of people can pull it off. A lot of people are built for it. They have the right set point, but most people it's not realistic or healthy in long term. So, but you feel this need to stay this way because you're portraying the image of health and fitness. And it's crazy because you see the slew of deaths happening in the industry, all of the disorders and stuff that come out of it, the body image issues. It's like this is the health and fitness and lifestyle industry, yet we're making everyone so much worse. And I feel like the industry is a net negative. Honestly, there's a lot of great creators who push good information, but in terms of the current landscape, it's a net negative. I would argue.
Yeah, I think I'm on that same page with you, man. I very much am. And something that the previous guest, Jeffrey Schofield, he and I talked about is like...
I listened to that while I was working out. That was a good conversation.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you. But it seems like very much like bodybuilding, like that, generally speaking, bodybuilding kind of engulfs the fitness industry. And we know, especially in the competitive scene, bodybuilding's pretty much never healthy. And I know you've done shows before, at least one show. I'm currently prepping for my first show, and I've been very lean before, and I do pretty well being quite lean, but even still, like right now, I've been feeling it, man. I have been feeling like, yeah, this is the health and fitness industry. That's one of the things I want to promote most as a part of fitness is like health and fitness go hand in hand. Now I'm preparing for this bodybuilding show, which I'm doing in part to market myself, but it's like I'm feeling like garbage, and it's like prior to going on prep for this, I felt great, and now I'm purposefully putting myself in this state where like I'm gonna look, I guess, better, at least, it's subjective, but gonna look better at least from a fitness model standpoint, but I'm gonna feel like shit and probably also, again, influence people's body image ideas.
Well, if it's a personal endeavor that you just want to try out, then by no means is there anything wrong with it from where I'm standing. Because I remember I remember prep, and I remember I wasn't coached, so I had to hold myself accountable. I was working out at home, prepping in my basement, and I remember like breaking out in cold sweats while I was sleeping. I remember eating like 200 calories more than I was supposed to, and then I'm not gonna lie, I cried a couple times because I was so guilty. It ate me up. I went on vacation when I was 4 weeks out. Went to Florida for the first time in years. Like we haven't gone on
Yeah.
vacation in a long time, so it was like I want to enjoy it. I've been working so hard and I just want to let loose, but I can't. So for the first half I barely did anything, but the second half I drank a ton, I ate a ton, I put myself a couple weeks back. And I remember the
Oh,
drive home because we drove from New York to Florida. So when we were driving back, I just remember the whole car ride. There were like tears in my eyes. I wasn't talking to anybody. I remember like yeah, because like you put such a like you guilt yourself out of everything. Like everything is a bad move. Like you need to count every calorie, every grain of rice, every drop of ketchup. And I think social media doesn't help because you're going to be put on the explore page if you look incredibly aesthetic, if you have all these broad shoulders and abs and you maintain this all the time. Like some guys can do it. Some guys are built for it, but more often than not, people are going to look up to and aspire to be the Joe Linder, the Larry Wheels, the Lex Littles and stuff. And you know, I mean, more power to them. They're putting in their grind. They're definitely working hard, but it's not the message to convey, but that's the standard. And that's something that I want to make an effort to oppose. Not oppose, like I don't want people to not go after their dream physique. I think it's cool to get there, but more so from a
yeah.
maintenance lifestyle standpoint, you can't exist there all the time and expect to feel good.
Oh, absolutely not. And the thing we haven't really even touched on, which I mean, it's a whole other can of worms, but like the PED side of things, that's going to oftentimes help some people maintain some unrealistic level of body fat that they might not be able to otherwise. But one thing I mean, we talk a lot about like the cons, and I do want to continue talking about the cons because there are unfortunately
A
a
long
lot
list.
of a lot of bad things talking about when it comes to social media. I mean, just watch The Social Dilemma. I mean, I don't know if you'd seen that on Netflix, that
I've heard of
documentary
it.
that was
I haven't
basically
watched
all
it yet.
about. I do recommend it. It's terrifying though. It is terrifying. It just really goes into basically every negative you could think of with social media's impact. But in regards to the fitness space, something that's good, and but I've also heard some people say it has kind of a dark side to it, is the level of honesty we're getting about like things like PEDs or even just more people being honest about how being excessively lean does not feel good and it's not healthy and that's not true health. Like we are getting more conversation about that, but I've heard the counter at least to being more honest about PEDs is that it's kind of could be seen as glamorizing them in another sense. Like, hey, I take PEDs. I'm being honest about that, but also this is what I take, and maybe it might influence somebody to get on them for a different reason other than like, oh, I think that this is achievable without it, but I can't get to it, so I'm gonna get on this stuff because I want to look like these guys. I don't know. A lot of different cons in regards to how fitness is presented on social media. But again, I feel like the honesty side of things is kind of trickling in a bit more and doing some good.
Yeah, yeah, there's definitely an uprising of creators who are either A, willing to admit their mistakes, or B, just market themselves around, I guess, opposing that mainstream standard of being lean. Like you have guys like Natural Hypertrophy, Alpha Destiny, Jeff Schofield. I
Yes.
keep citing him. I've just been binging his channel. Honestly, I love everything he puts out. Um,
Me too.
yeah,
One of my favorites.
and it's a good combination of education and humor. I really like Natural Hypertrophy because not only does he touch on fitness, but he touches on a lot of philosophy as well. There's a good
Yes.
I guess authentic, like willing to express more than one thing that goes beyond fitness. And in terms of the PEDs, yeah, I mean, here's the thing: when you make the decision to take PEDs, you have weighed your pros and cons, and you've leaned towards PEDs. So even if you go on your video and you say, "Look, hey guys, this isn't healthy or anything," people are gonna look at you and be like, "Yeah, well, you still took it. You're still willing to do it, so therefore maybe I'm willing to do it too because my idol's doing it." Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you can put the disclaimer there, but you're still doing it. If it's such a bad thing, you wouldn't be doing it, but here you are doing it. So, yeah, it's good to be honest, but you know, it's like when you say, "Hey, don't try this at home." People are going to want to try it at home. They're just going to want to,
Exactly.
especially when they see the success that comes from it.
Yeah, it's kind of like somebody just implying "do as I say, not as I do," but it's like almost like a wink, wink. Like you're
Yeah,
probably, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
And something else I wanted to touch on too, just another relating point. Because it's funny, I was kind of going through a similar thing yesterday. This is backtracking a little bit, but you said when you had gone to Florida when you were on your prep and you were like 4 weeks out, how you kind of sabotaged yourself a little bit and how
Yeah.
much it impacted your mental health, your emotional health. Yesterday, I see the new Doctor Strange, big Marvel fan,
I
and
heard
I'm
it was
like, I
good.
don't want to go into this movie feeling like garbage. Like I want to feel good as I watch this movie. So I made my deficit that much more. So like leading up to the movie, I could like get Chipotle, get popcorn, get this, that, and the other thing. So I kind of had like it didn't. I don't think it set me back too much, but I felt extremely guilty pretty much the whole time. But I tried to get past it and just have a good time. That's much harder to do when you're on a prep for a show, and then again that just feeds back into like here's this thing that's it's an athletic endeavor, I guess, but it's very much not centered around health. But it is still a cool physical challenge, I guess you could look at it like that. But again, it's just an interesting look for an industry where I very much think health should go hand in hand with fitness, but it a lot of times doesn't.
Yeah, I guess that begs the question, like in the heart of health and fitness, most people tend to be on the course to either A, be a bodybuilder, or B, try it at some point. So it inevitably, in most corners of the fitness industry, you're going to see people in the bodybuilding culture. And with the bodybuilding culture comes the need to be very lean, comes the stripping back all the fat to see your package, right? You know, wink,
Yeah.
wink. But yeah. But point is, like, I think it's inescapable. So you got to ask the question. It's like, how much of it comes down to viewer accountability, just knowing what's best for yourself, and don't subscribe, or not don't subscribe, but don't try to emulate everything your favorite influencer is doing. Or B, what about bodybuilding? Bodybuilding's not going anywhere. It's been glamorized forever, right? It's the Olympia, Arnold, Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, all these figureheads that people look up to, Chris Bumstead. They're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So, like, you got to wonder, is it, like, people are always going to admire these guys. They're going to be motivated. They're going to put them on before a workout. Like, I remember for over a year, I would go down in my basement and I would work out to watching Ian Vier and Chris Bumstead. I hope I said his last name right. But Ian and Chris working out. I'd just watch their training videos. I wouldn't listen to music. I would just watch these guys train. And I would be in awe at how big they are. I know it was PEDs. I wasn't like, I'm going to look like that one day. I knew I wasn't. But it still got me hyped. But it's like these guys are at the forefront of what's supposed to be health and fitness, and that's due to the sport of bodybuilding. So that begs the question, like, should we keep bodybuilding? Should we change the rule book, the foundation, the way in which they get ready for these shows? Because you have all these guys dying. You have all these massive these guys have all this influence that are kind of dictating a lot of what happens in the fitness industry because they're at the forefront of the marketing. So what about the sport? I think the sport is, it causes problems inevitably. As someone who has competed and watches bodybuilding, I'm aware that it's more harm than good.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And it even stretches kind of beyond just directly the fitness industry because, mentioning Marvel, like going back to like superheroes are huge right now. And a large majority of the actors in these movies will go on some kind of bodybuilding protocol. And, you've seen all the super cuts of like chicken, broccoli, rice kind of thing.
Always.
5 months of broccoli, chicken breast, and that kind of stuff. And it was all hard calories. It was a lot of chicken breast, 5 chicken breasts a day. So a lot of vegetables, a lot of kale, brown rice. Well, you eat boiled chicken breast every 2 hours, which is not very good. But that's how you get that body. Chicken, loads of chicken, pounds and pounds. I would eat at least 2 rotisserie chickens a day. My chicken, fish, maybe steak. Always protein, 6 times a day. Protein, steamed vegetables, and occasionally some brown rice. Bland, naked pieces of chicken and rice. Brown rice, grilled chicken, broccoli.
So just training constantly, eating just chicken breast, broccoli, and that is it.
Yeah.
It's like even outside of like your Jay Cutlers and your Schwarzeneggers, your Bumsteads, whatever, it's like the major motion pictures, you're going to see these massive bodies, these kind of unrealistic, unachievable bodies in a lot of cases just because they're oftentimes you can assume PEDs involved. Yes. So we'll just how it's more or less like it's kind of if you're looking at fitness, what people perceive fitness to be, like that image of like the very muscled but also quite lean person, that is often the image that is associated with health and fitness. And that's why I did one of my earlier videos that did quite well because Jeffrey Schofield shouted it out was the top 10 lies the fitness industry told me, and the thumbnail is literally a picture of me at my leanest, and it's like an arrow pointing and it says healthy question mark because it's like when I was younger I didn't even really think twice about it. I saw P90X whatever, see these people marketing these products, And I'm like, that is what the picture of health likely is. And I just kind of like, yeah, just leave it at that. Assume that that's what it is. And probably the leaner, the better. And it's like, we know that when your body fat gets a bit too high, of course, that's not healthy. But we don't, at least on a mass scale, seem to talk about the other side of things with like just being excessively lean and how that's truly not that much better. If not, like it could be even worse in some cases.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I'm actually working on a video right now that I think will be uploaded by either tomorrow or the day after, and it's actually titled "Your Dream Physique Will Not Make You Happy," and it's like the first fitness video I've made in a minute. But it's basically just discussing like how I put so much of myself aside, and my one big ambition and goal was to get shredded and get in great shape, and then I realized that it came at the expense of a lot of important things in my life because a lot of people bank on a physique or looking a certain way to be what solves their problems. And what I found is once I got to a certain physique, once I got to like achieve, I guess, my quote unquote dream body, I realized that I was a little more unhappy as a result. Not because I got there, but because I banked on that being where the source of happiness would come from. Like every teenager, every young adult's like, dude, I want to look like this guy. I want to look like that guy. You have all these people you want to emulate and all these heroes. Like you said, the superhero movies. I actually have a little clip in the video talking about superheroes and stuff like that, and that was kind of my inspiration for that being the precedent or the standard that I was pursuing. So that's something that I feel like needs to be discussed a little bit because people bank on a physique, not the health part, not the lifestyle, going to the gym, making friends, getting your numbers up, getting stronger. It's about the looks. It's about the dream body, and that's not going to make you real happy. Eventually, you just realize, okay, you know, I kind of look like this. Cool. I feel a little weaker. I'm hungry. I have low libido. I don't really have much energy. It's like, no, like eat some food. You can get there. It's cool, but you know, focus on other things.
It's just the look then at that point. It's like everything else falls apart in service of this look, which we all know life is way more than looks. You know, beauty is only skin deep, right? Kind of thing. But yeah, it bugs me so much, man. It bugs me so much. It really does.
That's another reason. Sorry.
No, just more. I was going to say, it's just such a conflict in my life that I've been dealing with a lot lately, especially as I prep for this show. It's like become more clear in my mind.
Yeah. Is this your first show?
Yep, first show. I'm gonna do bodybuilding, classic physique, and men's physique. I'm just gonna do them all. Why not?
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's a great way to dip your toes. Like, it's just a cool like. This is your first prep. You've been really lean before, but this will give you a real taste as to like the mental. I don't want to make it a bad experience because it could be a very positive one. I've made great friends by going to my show, but you know, like the accountability aspect, the sticking to your regiment, that kind of thing. There's a lot of mental anguish that comes as a result. As long you have to have some fortitude, you have to be disciplined, and you have to understand what you sign up for. But that's another reason why I'm kind of trying to make the pivot from fitness. Honestly, there's a list of like 7, 8, 9 different things that I can go into detail about as to why I've really just built such a strong, I guess, not resentment, but just a big distaste towards fitness and bodybuilding. I think there's a lot of pros to it, like this niche, but like I said, I believe it's an overall net negative, and I just don't want to be a part of it. Another thing is, and I'm sure you can kind of relate to this as a result of the whole main gaining revival fitness thing, is I feel like every other day someone's beefing with somebody. Every other day someone's getting called out for some bullshit. Every other day it's like, here's why you're doing biceps wrong, and this guy makes a video. You're like, this guy is feeding you bullshit and fear-mongering you because his biceps are going like this when they should be going. It's like, dude, go to the gym, lift some weight, eat some food, live your life. I mean, I have nothing wrong with fitness channels trying to break down the nitty-gritty and give you the scientific like analysis of everything because, yeah, it makes you more knowledgeable. But when it comes down to this, it's almost dogmatic. Where, like, I subscribe to the bulk and cut. I subscribe to the main gain. And you guys go to war. It's like, you know what? If it works for you, do it. Like, I'm not going to insult you. I'm not going to, like, bury you or try to whatever. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I want to correct this guy because I think there's a mistake. He makes good content, blah, 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 blah. But when, like, I've seen people fling shit every other day. And it's like you know, Greg, Remington, just everybody. How much do you actually give a shit about helping people? How much do you actually care? Everyone knows drama sells. Everyone knows that if you get into beef, it's gonna, you know, people are like, oh, what's gonna happen? Get your popcorn, right? The views go up. how much do you actually want to help people? If you want to help people, have some civil disagreement. Be willing to disagree and shake hands at the end of the conversation. I hate this whole, like, if you don't subscribe to my idea, you're an idiot, you're stupid, these people are feeding you crap. No, they're not. They're feeding you what works for them. And it's such a distaste I have. I don't think, I have no problem with disagreeing and having the tough discussions. But when you go to the point where you're just trying to, like, I don't know, like trying to almost humiliate somebody or just make them look bad and bash their credibility because of a couple missteps. It's one thing if they don't own it, right? It's one thing like, I'll say it, Greg and the 5 pounds of muscle in a month from the testosterone. Like that he doubled down, tripled down on, and I can't really respect it. I think Greg's a net positive in terms of, the knowledge aspect and what I've gained from him. But that I just, like, it's one thing to admit you're wrong. But, like, that's why I'm willing to have people, call them out. Like, hey, look, I want to, like, you did this wrong. But now it's coming to this point, it's like, I'm going to bring you down. I'm going to show you, everyone, who you really are. And it's like, stop. He's making content. He's making content. And if you think there's a potential downside to it, have the discussion. Hey, look, I'm noticing this. And that's why I made my video, like, a year ago, kind of talking about Remington, because I didn't want to sit there and say, hey, you piece of shit, you did all this stuff. I was like, hey, look, I'm a fan of what you do. I think, you do a lot of great things. You've helped me a lot, but I'm noticing something that I think is impacting other creators. I wanted to be civil about it. Then I got fucking dunked on the Mogcast by James, Sush, Ryan Ankrum, and all that. Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing. I made a community post. I was like, look, I didn't come here for drama. I'm not trying to get views. I could have made 4 more videos and gotten like 4 or 5,000 more subscribers if I just yoked it. I could have gotten Sush and James and all that stuff, and I could have stirred up some controversy and blown myself up a little more. Not like 100,000 subs, but I could have gotten more, but I chose not to because drama should not be the goal. People shouldn't be sitting here like headhunting. It's like you say you want to help people get better. Stop flinging shit. Everyone here has the same intention to some extent. If they're doing shady shit, yeah, I acknowledge it. But I hate this whole I hate cancel culture. I hate the idea of like dissing somebody and like to almost an unforgivable length. I don't know, man. I question intent sometimes. I just do.
I love. First of all, thank you for bringing the passion to the Passion Podcast. I love this, and I really could not agree with that. I had a video kind of recently touching on this sort of thing as well. I mean, a little bit of drama sprinkled in, if you can do it just right, maybe it can work. But at the end of the day, I much prefer just holding people accountable. It's not about flinging shit. It's not about bringing each other down. At the end of the day, yes, we're here to entertain, and drama can be entertaining. But it's about putting out quality content first and actually seeking to benefit people's life in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Could not agree more. And it kind of brings back that conflict of, like, it makes me wonder, because like, going back to Greg, he said many times that he doesn't like, and he doesn't really do them anymore, but back when Natty or Nots were huge, he would often say, I don't like making these videos, but that's what you guys seem to click on the most, so here we are. So it makes you often wonder with XYZ different content creators, like how many of them, like you said, it's like, oh, how much do you really care about helping? But then it's also like, well, you can also look at it as maybe they're dealing with that same thing of they're just following the algorithm and they're getting a little bit too deep into it. And they're like, I don't like making this stuff.
Yeah.
That's what you guys want to see. And then they really just almost start to fall into it themselves because they see the numbers going up. They're like, well, let's get back on this Remington James drama. Let's do it.
Exactly. Yeah, I fell into that. I mean, not from a beefing standpoint, but more so from pushing my limits in a, I guess, physique standpoint, like we touched on earlier, trying to be lean. Like, it's easy to slip into something, and, like, I guess, you start to identify with it because you see how much comes out of it. You see, like, oh, this succeeds. This, people like the attention, people give me attention, my numbers go up, all these great things happen when I do this, and eventually you get to a point of no return, or you have to just take the walk of shame, and it's tough to do that. Like, right now, my views on my channel are about as low as they've been since close to when I started my channel, right? Because I've pivoted, like I'm making new stuff because I'm stepping away from what people tend to expect out of me because I usually made what people expected out of me. And it got to a point where, like we said, it kind of, it becomes a slippery slope. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's far too easy for creators to fall into. I don't know if that's an algorithm problem. I don't know if that's just a precedent in the industry. Maybe we're living in a bit of an echo chamber and all niches on YouTube are like this, gaming, cooking, whatever. But
I wonder,
you
yeah.
know, we're in fitness, and like at least I was in fitness mainly, and
Yeah.
you know, that just seems to be the pattern. So I'm not a fan. I'm not going to tell people how to run their channel. If you want to keep making the videos, you have every right to, and I will die for your right to do it. But I just don't agree.
Yeah, no, I'm, dude, very much the same page. And like you said too, it makes you wonder. Like I do observe other niches of YouTube. I'm not strictly fitness because again I love movies and I'd like to do. I've actually even thought about starting another channel to like lean more into like doing video essays on like movies and TV shows. So I did a lot of that in college. That's what I studied. So, but I love fitness as well. So I thought with my channel I kind of wanted to merge the two. Can't remember what my freaking point was with saying that, but it just kind of goes back to like I
Doing something a little
yeah,
more
it's
true to you.
very important to, like, try not to lose yourself. Like remember why you started doing this in the first place, and try and stay true to that, which is way easier said than done, especially when we live in a go 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 society, and a lot of us are impatient for growth. You know, in more ways than one. I mean, you can look at it with YouTube growth or your actual fitness growth, like your performance growth, your muscle growth, whatever. Just the rate of things. People are very impatient; they want it now. So when looking at a content creator, it's like, okay, I'm starting this now. It's a risk, but I want to make sure it's actually going to go somewhere. So I'm really going to try and push for what apparently people want to see. But it's just either finding that balance or just saying screw that and really leaning into your passions and just hoping that it takes off. Which for you, man, I'm sure it will. Like I mean, again, your views went a bit down, but I don't think that yeah, I think that you're gonna get right back up there because you make really good stuff and you do care about what you're putting out there.
I
It's very
appreciate it.
clear to me.
I appreciate that.
And yeah, we've done a lot of shit talking, which again, and we go on still shit talking the social media situation, but like I guess we can both agree that there's probably more cons than pros. I mean, we've already said that, but what are some pros? I guess. I mean, there's some obvious ones, but I guess we could elaborate further on like what some of the biggest benefits to social media that there are, and like what maybe we could expect from the future in regards to those positives.
Well, one of the glaring pros I would say is just the inspiration. Like I said, it could be a bit of a double-edged sword in regards to like you might set an unrealistic expectation, but it's also what propels somebody to get off the couch and go to the gym. Like you see that big ripped influencer, it might get you working out, but it can also get you having like a poor expectation. So I don't know. I guess you can kind of take the wins with the losses, but I think one of the bigger pros of it is the ability to network and the ability to. I guess it motivates a lot of people who aren't already invested in fitness. Like most people don't work out excessively. Most people don't go to the gym frequently. So if the industry can bring them in, awesome, because it's going to get them moving. It's going to get them to care about it more. Even if there's a lot of pseudoscience and a lot of back and forth, he said, she said, inevitably you're going to want to work out more, and I think that's a big pro. The direction of social media in general, you have companies spending billions of dollars trying to figure out how to keep you on their platforms more, and that's never good because they're not taking the best interest of the consumer into mind. So they're just going to be putting in front of you whatever they think will keep you in bed, binging your phone the most, instant gratification, left, right, up, down, sideways, and backwards. I think it's only to get worse. You have things like the metaverse coming out. I might sound like a bit of a conspiracy guy, but I think it's an absolute trap. I think the metaverse is a trap. I think people are going to neglect their real life, put on these goggles, and enter this utopia where everything's perfect when real life is decaying and they're neglecting their priorities. It's like when people who get like really addicted to pornography or something, right? Like they spend like it ruins marriages, it ruins your job. People lose their job over it. Like it's easy to get engulfed in something that makes you feel happy in the moment at the expense of the long-term benefits of putting in the work and resisting things like excessive consumption. And social media, I think it's only going towards a trajectory that's going to affect the bottom dollar of these companies. And I think it only means bad news. I don't know what it's going to look like. I just know it's probably not going to be good.
Dude, it's like I'm talking or looking into a mirror. Like everything you're saying is, and like you're a little bit younger than I am, so I really like your perspective on this because I'm kind of on that edge of like I was at a certain age when social media really started to roll out where I feel like I had, for lack of better terms, like more self-awareness, I guess. But again, since you're a bit younger, I feel like your relationship with social media is going to be that much different. So it's probably even like given the perspective you just shared, I feel like it's going to be even scarier for you because you're really seeing it. Whereas I'm just kind of like, the babies being born now, they are truly being, thrust right into social media world.
Yeah.
And with the metaverse coming, it's like they're going to just kind of know this very isolated, like, not genuine social interaction sort of lifestyle. That's terrifying. And I often think, I mean, we're kind of veering back towards the negatives again, but whatever.
I love how it always defaults to the negatives. What does that say?
Yeah, exactly. I kind of think, and this might sound overly dramatic, but I'm going to kind of double down on it, that social media is almost breeding like sociopath-like behavior, where it's just like actions really aren't that genuine and intentions really not that genuine. It's kind of about just like chasing an image.
Yep.
And despite all else, it's like, this is what I want people to see me as, and however I'm going to showcase that, so be it, whether I have to lie, cheat, steal, deceive, whatever. And it can be as a big creator, a small creator, somebody who just has a casual account who follows friends and family, whatever. It can affect all those different types of people. And with, again, the younger generations really just being born directly into this, I'm terrified for the future. I'm terrified.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think one of the biggest drawbacks of it, especially if you're born into it versus somebody who just kind of inherited over time, someone like myself, I had a phone since I was young. What it forces you to do is it forces you to seek gratification from externally. You rely on people's compliments. You rely on people's approval for things. It causes immense social regression in terms of your ability to have FaceTime with people. You prefer to stay in the comforts and safety of your home and text people versus going out into the big scary world. And it's causing people to just regress and regress and regress, and they're having a hard time. Like, that's why people are having less sex now than ever. It's because it's easier to sit home. It's easier to just do everything with your thumbs. Like, that's why people are like, that's why Twitter's a cesspool, is because you can insult people, you can say all these things because you're behind a screen. They can't touch you. It gives people Twitter fingers. And on top of that, and it's causing everyone to move backwards. Like, we can't do the things we did 20, 30 years ago. At the end of the day, social media is a choice. For now. Back then, we didn't need cars for work, but now everyone needs a car. Back then, we didn't need phones to, like, in normal life, we didn't have phones, but now everyone carries one. It's weird if you don't. Social media is heading there. If you don't have an Instagram and a Facebook, businesses might not hire you because they need to do a background check. So social media is integrating itself to a point where you cannot have a normal life without it. Normalcy is being redefined by these companies, which is terrifying, especially if you're young and you're being born into it. Imagine what's going to happen with the metaverse. Like we said, I'm not trying to sound like a tinfoil hatter, but it's going to be integrated. It's going to be integrated, and it's going to be one of those things where it's like, it's not going to be much. And then in 5-10 years, you're weird if you're not building a community in the metaverse. And it's just, I mean, I remember this book I read. It's called Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, and it basically talks about is dystopian society where everything's perfect, everyone, like, there's nothing wrong, but there's total autonomy by the government to, like, they drown you in pleasure, happiness, everything you could ever ask for, and it makes you this docile, just like brain dead thing that just listens to, like, just follows the orders, right? And it's scary because it's hive minded. You don't really, like, you can't really divert from the norm. You can't really have opinions of your own. You can't make your own decisions. People decide it for you because you've compromised so much of your freedom and your independence for safety and pleasure. It's a trade-off on a spectrum. And this basically illustrates what happens when it's taken to an extreme that you can't come back from. And I don't think we're going to get there, at least for a long time, but that's the trajectory, and people are just, they're eating it right up. I mean, I have friends on TikTok and they're doing great, more power to them, but I think those platforms are dangerous. I mean, I hate to, I'm 21. I'm not trying to sound like a boomer, but my God, like, you look at the effects of them, you see what happens, you see the ramifications of it, and inevitably it's going to leave you looking out for people to give you compliments. You're not going to be happy unless you're surrounded with all these hearts and likes and comments. It's like with YouTube. If our video doesn't get a lot of engagement, we feel sad. That's what we've kind of boxed ourselves into, which is why I'm also stepping out of this, because I'm trying to teach myself to care more about what I want versus what the ROI is. And
what you're being told you're supposed to want or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like, your happiness is dictated by the amount of people that give you their attention. And I think that's just becoming the standard, and I think that's dangerous.
Yes, it's truly, the more that we humans advance, which there's pros and cons to advancement, and that's something that humans, just with human nature, we love to do. We want to just keep on progressing. But there is so much downside to that. And outside of just how it's going to affect us socially, which is like a huge thing because we're social creatures, it's also going to make us more sedentary, which is a whole other thing that, like, that's what I would argue the biggest issue facing our world is, because, you know, heart disease is still the biggest killer. Obesity is a huge thing. And now we're just being given the resources to be like, hey, this is what I want my life to be perceived as. I can do that through social media, through the metaverse, whatever it's going to be. Show, like, hey, this is how I want people to see me. This is how I want people to view my personality, whatever. But it could all just be this big fabricated thing, which then, you know, you're just sitting back. And I don't know exactly how the metaverse is going to work, I guess, but it sounds like it's going to be like almost like Matrixy. I don't know. It's terrifying.
That's kind of what it is, I think. You know,
yeah,
it's surrounding you and everything you could ever want, but it's not real. So it keeps you, it just kind of like, you know, you put on the goggles and you can't take them off because you're enjoying it too much, but your real life suffers as a result. People are going to feel more and more anxiety as time goes on. We have more anxiety, depression, and suicide now than ever in history. And that's a result of this regression. And I think we're at a point where people are going to desire that gratification, that external dependency so much, and it's going to be ramped up with the metaverse that people are going to almost universally default to it. It's going to be easier to say yes when it comes out because that's just where we're heading. So, I mean, I guess like the most important thing right now is for young people, my age, younger, older, whatever it is, like, you know, Gen Z, whatever the next generation is, I don't know, to just be aware, just understand that, you know, none of this really matters. None of this social media, none of this Instagram stuff, it doesn't mean anything. I remember it was so funny when I was young, when I was in middle school and high school. Myself, I'm guilty of it, and many other people, we would go to events, we would go to parties, we would go to social gatherings because we wanted to post pictures on Instagram and show people that we were having fun. Hey, look at me, I went to this party, look at all these pictures I took, you know, I'm exciting, right? Like the picture, you know? Then it just becomes this really, it's unrecognizable to somebody 10 years prior to us. They look at this and like, what the hell are you doing, you know? But that we depend on that so much, and we're not happy when our likes don't hit a certain threshold. Instagram integrated this feature to hide your likes, so people can't see that your picture didn't get a lot of likes. They hid the dislike button for mental health purposes. It's like I don't know if people, like, how you cannot at least be somewhat aware of what's happening. It's terrifying.
I think a lot of people are more willing to turn a blind eye just because it is so widespread, and they're kind of like, well, everybody's in on it, wink, wink, kind of thing. So it is what it is, and it's gonna be okay. I feel like, I mean, well, let me just say too, dude, I'm really glad that somebody, again, I'm not that much older than you are. I'm 27, you're 21.
Yeah.
But like, just hearing your wisdom in regards to this gives me some faith, gives me some serious faith for the younger generations. Like, I know there'll always be those people who are savvy to this stuff, but it's really easy to be cynical and see that that's not going to be what it's like on the whole. At the same time, what's also kind of interesting is it's usually going to be the younger generations that fall into it, but it's kind of wild when you have somebody who's like older than I am, or even someone in their 50s. I've seen this where it's like they get really into the social media game and they start to, like, this is not what their generation was. They lived without this stuff forever, but now they're introduced to it. They're like, oh, now I want to chase the likes and the this and the that, and they fall completely into it as well. So it can happen with anybody, you know?
Yeah, you're either born into it or you adopt it. And I think when you see what happens, like, everyone wants to be an influencer, everybody wants to be a celebrity or whatever because they see the glamorous life that comes with it. So they think that they got to invest in themselves. A lot of people, depending on your vulnerability, your capacity, your willingness to pursue something, all these other factors determine, regardless of your age, if this is like the dive that you want to take. And I've seen a lot of people in their 30s, 40s, 50s who are like teenage girls. They're taking selfies at dinner. I'm like, aren't you like 50? Aren't you close to having grandkids? And she's sitting there like with the selfie and stuff. And it's like, I mean, like, yeah, it's bleeding everywhere. It's not something like the young generation should worry. Well, they should, but not just them. Like, I would say more so young people, but it can happen to anybody, and it's only becoming more easier and easier to do. So I guess I don't want to say social media is a total negative. I think it's heading in a bad direction, and it's in a bad state. I think it can be redeemed by people taking personal accountability, being willing to draw the line, being able to step into reality and say, hey, look, this doesn't matter too much. I mean, yeah, it's cool to get likes. Woohoo, I might be able to monetize my Instagram page or whatever and sell products and supplements. Cool. At the end of the day, you can treat it like a business, but be able to get out of it. Be able to have FaceTime, meet up with a friend and have conversations and walk and stuff, and understand that life goes beyond it. Because I'm not going to lie, dude, I get anxiety when I don't have my phone for more than a day. I keep tapping my phone, my pocket or whatever. I'm like looking around. I'm like lifting up the sheets on my bed. I'm walking up and down the stairs, and my heart starts to beat a little faster. I'm conditioned to feel that way, and I think most people are, but that's why I'm trying to make a huge point to just, like, I've disabled notifications on all of my social medias. I don't get bell notifications on YouTube. And even if people, like, if you're watching and you subscribe to me and you have my bell on, turn it off if you want. Like, I want people to, yeah, I need views, sure, but I want people to make the healthier decision. That's why I'm heading in the direction I am, is because I've put so much of what I'm feeling, like my channel now, these are my raw thoughts. These are questions that I ponder and I ask myself at night. Like, these aren't things that I just, ooh, the algorithm's gonna like this. These are things that I sit here and think about. These are questions that I ask that I don't have an answer to, and it forces me to go after it. And I find myself going down this rabbit hole of I guess, like you said, like the direction of where we're going and what society's going to look like in regards to social media and the young generation. And I used to think we're becoming really sedentary and weak, and it's bad.
Sedentary, weak, and fake.
Yeah, fake.
Fake is
Authenticity is rare.
Yeah, authenticity is going out the window, and it's like I personally try to do it as little as possible with what I'm putting out there. Especially, like, it's more so on Instagram. Like, that's where I guess more of like just more regular posting of like pictures or what have you. I do my best to not ever show something that's not true, like not even like white lies. But it's like, I don't know. I feel like it could even kind of just happen regardless in some ways, because even when you're trying to put your best self out there, at least in some way, shape, or form, like you want to be, be transparent and show your bad days too, of course, when it comes to like trying to put yourself out there as an influencer, so to speak, or as just a personality in the space. Yeah, I mean, it all kind of comes back full circle of like, you have people like us who were on social media. We acknowledge all of the mess of cons that come with it, but we still like genuinely do want to help people, and not just that, but we also enjoy making the content.
Yeah,
it's like, in order to have actually do the thing we're doing and make it worthwhile, you have to also play the stupid social media game, which is the whole kind of became the theme of our podcast episode here.
Yeah,
it's just like the negatives with it, but it's like, to be in our position, you kind of have to play that game. And I know, again, coming full circle, I'm sort of being redundant at this point, so I also don't want to take up too much of your time. And I really want to get into this one because I feel like I know you pretty well. I watch quite a bit of your content. This is the first time we're talking face to face, so to speak, digitally anyway. But like, I want to spotlight people in general, whoever I'm talking to. But like, what are you passionate about outside of, I guess, what you make on social media? So like, usually I'll ask, like, what are you passionate about outside of fitness? But even outside of like self-improvement topic, you can talk about like stamp collecting. I don't care, man. Whatever you have passion for that you want to, and it can be more than one thing too, just like anything else you want to spotlight in regards to who you are and tell the people.
So at this moment in time, my last year and a half was dedicated strictly to my channel. I would say, you said outside of YouTube, I'd say my biggest passion right now currently is YouTube, and integrated with that is my passion for self-improvement, because prior to my channel, I loved self-improvement. If I never picked up a camera, I would be passionate about self-improvement. But I was so engulfed in trying to grow my channel that I kind of pushed away a lot of other parts of my life. I pushed a lot of friends away. I pushed a lot of family away. I lost a lot of really good people as a result of pursuing this goal. And I spent the last month or two just reaching out to old friends, people that I haven't talked to in a year or two. Like, I got invited, I'm going to talk about this in a video, or one of the coming videos. I got invited to like 15 or 20 graduation parties, and I didn't go to a single one because I was so worried about going to work. I used to skip numerous days a week of senior year of school because I wanted to just work instead. I wanted to make money. I'm passionate about, I don't want to say work, my job, but I'm passionate about the idea of making forward progress, and that can come in any way, shape, or form. I love the idea of just having a little problem during my day. It could be something as stupid as like making it a more convenient system to hanging up my clothes and organizing my stuff. Like to me, I just love the idea of like optimizing and organizing and taking stuff away from my day that causes anguish or burden or consumes time. I love optimization. That to me is fun. I've always been good at it. Spending time with friends. Spending time with friends is just another thing. I feel like it's very gray. Like we don't do anything in particular. Just being in the company of people. Like I said, reaching out to people that I've pushed away in pursuit of my bag. You know, I value time with friends. I value time with people that I care about, that I know care a lot about me, that I didn't really give back like I should have. So that's my biggest priority right now outside of growing my brand. What I'm passionate about, I tend to put on YouTube. But outside of that, I'm still trying to find myself as a young guy. I know I'm going to come across things that I'll also one day adopt as a passion. Like maybe I just haven't tried it yet. But as of right now, I would say just like it sounds so tacky, but seriously, like the idea of just kind of like doing things that make me feel better, like taking next steps in certain things. The passion for my work, the passion for being around good people. I don't really have a hobby like archery or skydiving or anything. I'd say cooking is a passion. I mean, I love cooking's fun. I mean, wow. Now that I'm talking about it, I'm kind of boring.
Well,
Damn.
I was gonna say, there's a lot to say about what you just laid on us. I think that's beautiful. I love that you brought up as like a passion, just like rekindling relationships is kind of just like a part of that. And I think it is. That's like with when I started leaning into the YouTube thing and the social media thing, I went pretty crazy, like a lot of us do. Like it's like you clearly did, pushed a lot of people away, and I never wanted to do that, but I kind of found like it was happening naturally.
Yeah.
And so there was a point where it's like, if I'm going to do anything outside of being quote unquote productive with my ambitions, it is going to be hanging out with my friends. If that will be what I set aside time for, that's not like again, it's productive to hang out with friends, but in a different way. But like, as far as like your ambitions go, when you're taking any sort of break from that, that time is going to ideally be going towards furthering my social relationships. Because I have like a group of friends that I've been friends with for like some of them like 15 years, some of them 10 years, but we're kind of in this tight group, and we've still maintained touch throughout college and all that. And a lot of us live in the area, so it's like keeping those relationships good. I never want to lose those kind of relationships. That's huge, and I think that's a big thing to stress. Again, kind of bringing things full circle or tying things together. It's like with this social media mess that we found ourselves in, having real people in the real world that mean something to you and never losing sight of those people, that's huge. So thank you for bringing that up as something that's beautiful.
Yeah, I can't stress the importance, because I didn't really appreciate it for a long time, is just how much it matters to have someone that you can text or call and just vent to a little bit or meet up with. Like it got to a point where I would go 5, 6, 7 months and I wouldn't hang out with a single friend. Like I wouldn't go work out because I worked out at home. I mean, I had my job and I know my friend that owns the place, but I mean, in terms of just like friends I graduated with and grew up with, months. And sometimes it got to a point where if I got invited to things, I would just say no because I was so excited for my next video. And I never valued the importance of having real life bonding and just friendships. Going to play basketball, going swimming, going to the Y, whatever it is, you know. I've been reconnecting with a lot of people lately, and I think that's probably like I would say I'm probably right now in the best state that I've been in a long time, because I'm doing what I want on YouTube, and I'm fixing what I spent a long time breaking. So to me, I would say I'm in a pretty good spot right now. I have a lot of growing to do, a ton, but I feel like it's easy to be authentic. I feel like it's easy to smile a little more now. Yeah, like you said, I think my biggest passion right now is to just maintain social connections with people that care about me.
Dude, I'm so happy to hear you're in the best spot you've been in a while.
I
That's
appreciate that.
really great to hear, because it's like you said, it's or like we talked about, it's hard to know how authentic people are being. So it's like this YouTuber who's doing what, like seemingly doing well, like somebody with like a lot of subscribers, whatever. It's like, but how are they really, you know?
Yeah.
So just to know you, like, you know, you're grinding, you're still trying to get your content out there, you're still trying to like be a legit content creator, which I would say you very much are. It's like in spite of all that and all that struggle, like you're finding the balance and you're happy, and I'm so happy for you, man. I'm very happy for you.
Yeah, thanks so much. I really appreciate that.
And on that note, unless you had something else you wanted to add to that.
No, I was just gonna say I was probably just gonna ramble something, but yeah, no, that's it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that does it for my questions. And if there's anything else you want to plug or reference for like plans going forward, tell the people. Otherwise, yeah, we can say our goodbyes. I gotta go do freaking cardio. I gotta get more steps and stuff for my freaking prep. But
Yeah. I mean, I want to go on a walk while the sun's out, so I have a little bit of time. But yeah, after this, I'm just gonna edit. But I guess if there's anything I want to say, it's like, thanks so much for having me on. I'm glad I finally got to speak to you in person. It's nice being able to have these talks with people who can, I guess, put themselves in my shoes to an extent, because most people aren't YouTubers, most people aren't content creators. So it's hard to talk to someone and truly be able to feel like you're being reciprocated. So this kind of thing is refreshing. I'm glad you're doing this. I think you're going to see a lot of success doing it. Keep bringing people on here, have the discussions, and just pick people's brains, because a lot of times, like, they might, like we said earlier, they get to a point where they lose sight of what they're doing. So maybe having someone to ground them, like a friend in the same space, is so important. So I think you're doing a great job here. Your channel's going to take off, especially if you keep making those freaking, whatever that video was.
Yeah, the documentary style.
The documentary style. Yeah, if you do that second channel, let me know, because I think that would do really well. I watch a lot of those, like, movie recaps and stuff. I love those kind of things.
Yeah.
Those are awesome. Yeah, it's better because the movie's an hour and a half. This guy talks about it in 8 minutes. I'm not going to watch a movie. Yeah, but I guess aside from that, dude, best of luck on your show. I think you're going to do great. You know how it is to be lean. You know how to get there properly, and I think you're going to kill it.
Here's hoping, man. Here's hoping. At the same time, I'm counting down the days.
Till you have that big cheat meal at the end. Yeah, just don't screw yourself 4 weeks out like I did.
Yeah, dude. Some friends and I are already kind of planning what kind of damage we're going to be doing post show. We'll see.
Yep.
We'll see. Try not to go too crazy. I don't want to do a crazy rebound sort of thing. Be healthy about it. Be gradual, but also have some fun.
Yeah.
I appreciate all the kind words, man, and I really got to thank you for coming on. Like, I don't know. This means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Like, you're a bigger YouTuber. Like you are, and you do a lot of great stuff. You've been on the scene. You have a lot of great experience. You know a lot of people, and so just having your, I guess I'll just say, expertise being lent to my podcast. Thank you so much. It means a lot. So everybody listening, if you haven't already, obviously go check out all of Ethan's offerings, whether his YouTube channel, Instagram, any of that stuff. He's a great dude, and I mean, if you listen to the podcast, you can see a lot of that here. But
thanks so much, man.
All right, signing off. Thanks again, Ethan. Appreciate you, man.
For sure, man. Thanks so much for having me. Peace.
Awesome.